Yes, I'm that important judge because you see, I'm important since I am the judge in the courtroom of my own mind. And guess what? You're an important judge too. I bet you didn't know that, did you?
No.
You can wear one of these robes too.
Oh.
Oh no, I'm hearing. Well, you see, you can wear this judge's robe because you have a mind too. Is there anybody out there that doesn't have a mind? Well, it might not be active, but you still have a mind, you know? So you can be a judge. You can be a judge because you too are a judge in the courtroom of your own mind. Now, I have a very important message to give each one of you. Each one of you really awesome judges that are out there. And this is the message. Are you ready?
Right now.
Today is Judgment Day. I bet you didn't know that. You didn't know. You're probably thinking, ooh, did we all die and go to heaven? And this is Judgment Day today? Ooh, I didn't realize that. Well,
I know.
it's not like that at all, really. Really, it's not like that. The fact of the matter is, not only is today Judgment Day, but every day is Judgment Day. Bet you didn't know that, did you? And there's a reason why every day is Judgment Day. It's because we all have this innate power that's within us. The power of judgment, the power of wisdom, the power of discernment. And all of those words can be used to ascertain that power. You see, the power of judgment is so important because we must use our power of wisdom and good judgment all the time. Therefore, you see, our divine role is to always be an effective judge in the courtroom of our mind. And another thing, our courtroom is always in session. We never get to retire to the judge's chambers. Oh no, we're always there. Our mind is always going. Our wisdom or our judgment ability is the power to evaluate, to choose. And we sit on this bench in the courtroom of our mind and we make divine rulings. We make judgments every day. We make choices every day. And we hand down decrees. We decree something. In other words, we say something or we think something. And it becomes our reality in the outer world. Okay, just for example, in case you're not feeling so sure about playing the role of being an effective judge, let us think of it this way. We all wake up every morning, hopefully. Hopefully we do. And we can decree. That's when we begin decreeing. Right then when we wake up, we can either say, ooh, I dread this day. I just know it's going to be a mess. I've got to see Mr. X, Y, and Z, and it's just awful. You know, it's just awful. Or we can say, oh, thank you, God. I look so forward to this day. Everything's going to go wonderfully. I'm going to go see Mr. X, Y, and Z, and it's all going to flow so wonderfully. And I'm going forward to meet my good. See, the difference isn't in the day. The difference is in our wisdom, our judgment, our choice of how we're going to react in that moment. Reverend David Williamson, in his book, The 12 Powers in You, always gives such beautiful definitions. And this is his definition for the power of wisdom. Wisdom, good judgment, is my ability to discern, evaluate, and make decisions. He's saying here, every day is Judgment Day. Heaven and hell are not places I go after I die. They are states of mind that I create by my decisions I make in the courtroom of my mind. And then our co-founder Charles Fillmore said that wisdom can be found in the pit of our stomach in our body. Dr. Knapp goes on to say in this reading, wisdom expresses in my body via the pituitary gland and the rest of the endocrine system. So just a little aside, if we're having some problems, especially in our gut area and with any of our endocrine system glands, we can say that maybe we need to look at how we're being a judge in the courtroom of our mind. So, it's important to note that just like a judge in the legal system, that we will probably more than likely have some difficult decisions to make that will involve some very complex factors in our lives. And we need to listen to all of those factors surrounding us, both logically, with the left brain, and also intuitively with our right brain. And we can make our ruling then after we turn to God, just like we did in meditation. And sometimes the decisions we make may not be to everyone's liking, or they may not agree with our decisions, just like in real life with a judge, you know? However, if we have relied fully upon our God-given power of wisdom and good judgment, and we choose wisely and with compassion, we can be assured then that we have judged correctly and that there's no need to get bent out of shape with people who don't agree with our decision. I was reading last night in the book Living with Joy by Sananya Roman, and she had this to say on page 44. She has these important words. There is tremendous guilt in this society. Many connections between people come from the solar plexus. Hey, this is somebody else that's talking about the solar plexus, this pit of the stomach. The power center, she's saying, from which people try to persuade, convince, control, and manipulate each other. Loving the self means stepping outside of this kind of relationship, and to do so, you will need to let go of guilt. You need to let go of guilt, especially if we're judging correctly with good judgment. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, I remember back when I was in my childhood, a Bible verse, and it says, do not judge, so that you will not be judged. And that verse is from Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. So you might be sitting there thinking, well, so does that mean I'm never to make a judgment? Never to make a judgment? Or make a decision? Well, that would be just like telling the judge in the courtroom not to make any decisions and not to decide the case that's before the court. And we know that's not going to happen because that is the judge's job. The caution in that verse is really about being judgmental. It's a warning for us to be careful about condemning ourselves and condemning others. We can see the harshness that takes place when we highlight other people's errors and we point fingers or we cast stones at them. And remember, whenever you're pointing your finger at someone and go, you didn't do that, this black guy, or whatever we're saying, guess what? There are 3 fingers pointing back at you. Remember that. So I think that's what the warning's about. Do not be judgmental, because guess what? You're just really kind of decreeing this thing back on you. Yeah, it's a mirror. Remember, it's a mirror. Now also, we can go in the opposite direction. And I know there's probably some of us that tend to do this. We don't point fingers at anyone. We just have so much love and compassion all the time, but we fail to use our power of wisdom that's within us in our relationships. We can just be so very loving and and everything, but we don't set healthy boundaries as we try to help other people. And this kind of relationship, it allows people to use us then for their own selfish purposes. So that's why we have to balance that scale. We don't want to be harsh and judgmental, but we don't want to be mushy enough that we don't take care of ourselves and have our own self-love. Now, the power that needs to be combined with wisdom is the power of love. And that's what we sung about today. Love is my decision. And when love and wisdom are combined together, they create such a powerful synthesis within us. Back in biblical times, it was known that James and John were portrayed as brothers when they were called into the ministry by Jesus. And James is often understood to represent the power of wisdom. And closely behind him is John, which is related to love. James and John, wisdom and power. And you remember from last week when we were talking about Jesus took James and John and also Peter with him into the garden. Yeah. He also took them with him on the Mount of Transfiguration. He was always taking his wisdom and love and faith with him wherever he went to pray, by himself especially. He was taking all of his disciples, but then remember he would pull these three out. And in that garden story, he's calling upon Peter, James, and John. Won't anybody stay awake with me? He's saying, stay awake, stay awake. I've got these important decisions to make. So I really need you. I need this wisdom. I need this power of love to help me to reach the right decision. So in the same manner, we must call upon those same powers within us. We must call upon wisdom. We must call upon the power of love and balance that. We need to call upon our logic and upon our intuition to make balanced decisions in our lives. Well, just a little aside that the nicknames for James and John are, when they work together, is called the Brothers of Thunder, the Sons of Thunder. And that is because they have such a tremendous vibratory effect within our body and to help us keep in that optimal health that we're wanting. Well, today, in this courtroom of my mind, that is the message that I am giving to you today and the decree that I am declaring. And so I'd like to inform you all now that court is adjourned.